Greetings everybody, this is Houston Trong from the TradingEdge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for July the 1st to the 5th, 2019. So, Q2 is now in the bag. The first half of the trading year is over. I hope you're having a good trading year so far. And we are now officially entering into the back half of 2019. So, July the 1st marks an important date. First off, it's obviously a brand new week. It's also a brand new month. And as I implied already, a brand new quarter. So this is certainly an important week to be watching, as we're going to have a lot of movements around the different time frames, as we have some brand new bars opening across all those different time frames. Now, this week could be a slower week because there is, of course, Canada Day in Canada, and there's Independence Day on the 4th of July. But there are some notable news items. So specifically on Friday the 5th, we do have that employment number coming out at 8:30. So depending on anything transpires over the shortened trading week, we could expect some volatility on Friday if some news hits the tape, or if that report ends up moving some things in that last day of the trading week. So let's do a quick review of where we've come from, and we'll go through our normal review process to see what happened this past week and look and see what we can possibly expect to see in the next coming quarter. So let's launch right into it, and let's go back to, as usual, to our VIX chart. So amazingly enough, the VIX is now back to and very close to those all-time lows. So quite the spectacular move if you consider how we ended 2018. As we ended 2018, it looked like things were very, very bearish, and we've now managed to bring VIX all the way back to its near all-time lows. So, to review things, as you can see, it was actually a pretty tight month to end the quarter. But on the right-hand side, let's begin there. We have the VIX inside month. Okay, so it's inside month. We wrapped it up as an inside month. Wrapped the week up as an inside week. It was a bit of volatility in the week, as the week began with the buyers of the VIX in control, and we saw there we had this right from the get-go. I talked about it in last week's video. You want to see how this inside bar was going to break. So they broke to the upside. So the equities went down, went inside bar up, popped up for one day. That's the one day there on the 25th, and then it went inside bar to go back down and go. So inside bar reversal, very, very nice pattern on the daily. Just maximize that. Inside bar reversal to take out these buyers here. So inside up, there's your inside bar where they have the buyers and sellers unable to break price either way. Then finally the sellers win, and as soon as they break out that low, there's your inside bar reversal. Immediately they're going to go after that pivot, and that pivot. So on Friday they took out both those pivots, and then we closed close to those prior all-time lows. If you recall, I drew this dotted line a long time ago. We had broken below that, and that's kind of been sort of a natural place for buyers to step in. Every time we break below this level here, the 25.94 area, which was the previous all-time lows from back in October, the sellers can't keep it down there. So this is something we're going to need to continue to watch now. Can volatility get back down to these levels? Can they take out these pivot lows here now? Otherwise, they pop back up. Right now, we have to wait and see. We do have that inside month, inside week, so you definitely want to be watching this week, coming week, which way these inside bars break. Now, something notable to just look out for is right now, VIX is trading momentum to the downside. What does that mean? Well, first delete some of these lines here because they're, I think we took them out already. Actually, no, we'll keep those lines there because those are our unfilled gaps. But you can see it's momentum to the downside, outside bar, and down and down and down. This week, as I mentioned in last week's video, had the buyers been able to take out last week's high, that would have negated the momentum move to the downside. But right now, the outside bar, which kicks that momentum pattern off, is still strong, although it did have an inside week. So, they had a stalemate there. But the buyers haven't broken that downside momentum yet. If they can take out this past week's highs, then there's that possibility that it comes back up through the range again. That's what you need to watch out for, is if it breaks down and pops back up and starts to take out that pivot high, they can possibly go back up there again. Okay, and so that's something you want to be watching for and be forward looking, because VIX has had a really hard time staying below this 25.94 line. Now, just to put things into perspective, how VIX just kind of sort of melts. Look at the TVIX contract. So the TVIX is basically another ETF that's a double short. Okay, so look at the TVIX, where it's come from. So if you zoom out, these things, the TVIX specifically and VIX, are supposed to go to zero just because of the way they're structured. You can see if I zoom out here on the monthly chart, right? These things just naturally decay and they lose all their value. You're not meant to be holding these things for a long period of time, especially as a long trade. They're meant to be traded actively and not to be held for long periods of time unless you hold them short. If you hold them short, that's a great strategy. You just need to know when to get out so that you don't see all your gains evaporate, because the VIX does move quick to the upside. When it does, it can move in big pops like this of 77%, right? Then here, look what happened in January. Outside, inside, and down. Okay, so there's your outside bar. That was in the last month of 2018. Inside in January, as equities came battling back, and then once it broke below that inside bar's low here, right? There's your outside, inside, and down. It took all the pivots, and now it's all at near these all-time lows for TVIX. So how low can TVIX go? Well, technically TVIX can go to zero. So it's not the same thing as quite as VIX, which will go to zero as well. But this TVIX decays even faster because it's a 2 times. So the TVIX can just basically go to zero until they do a reverse split, and they usually do something like a 5-to-1 reverse split just to get the price back up again. But continue to watch this thing evaporate, especially if volatility remains low like we've seen so far. Okay, let's talk about SPDR now. So SPDR, on the 3-month chart, there's your inside and up condition. So ends of the quarter, inside and up. Not quite above that level, not quite above that bar, but they took out all the pivots. So you're going right into all-time highs now. So this thing has to keep going, right? What you don't want to see if you're a bull or a long is you definitely do not want to see this low get taken out. It's this low here, 273.09. You do not want to see that low get taken out, because then you have that inside bar reversal to the downside as a possibility for it to break even lower. See this situation here? This is an inside bar reversal to the upside. Okay, so here they went inside bar down. This is 2016. Went inside bar down, the buyers bought it back, and they went inside bar reversal on this next bar in April 2016. That created your condition where it came right back up here again. So this is the mirror opposite. You do not want to see price go back down through this range, possibly down, like what happened here, right? In the end of 2018, that's what happened. We had an inside bar and up. When that low got taken out, right, in Q4 of 2018, when that low got taken out, the Q3 low, they went after that pivot, that pivot, that pivot, and that pivot, and they took all those guys out. Anyone who's long from all the way back from July 2017, they got stopped out. And this pivot here, let's see, 232.51, 233. No, so not quite below this pivot, but definitely that pivot there. So for a SPY, we end the month, interestingly, as a outside. So let's just maximize that so you can see that. It's an outside bar and an outside bar. So these are both momentum conditions. You want to see now what's the next bar. Does it go outside bar and up, outside bar and down, or inside bar? Okay, or does it come back up and come back through the range again? Because you want to know that as well. So for now, just watch and see how it breaks, which side it breaks, and see if it can continue, because it's a momentum move. The actual weekend itself was pretty tight. Inside week. So actually, out of all the indices, SPY, Qs, and Dow, as we'll see in a few moments, they all closed the week as inside week. Russell, we'll talk about that later on, did not. So we have the inside week here, SPY, and it's momentum to the upside. So this is the mirror opposite of VIX, where we saw the momentum to the downside move. Here you have your outside bar, up, and inside down. So as a buyer, if you're long, you do not want to see the low of this SPY chart on this weekly chart get taken out. Otherwise, you have the risk of that thing coming back through the range again. So Friday's trading, we had the inside bar to the upside, very tight stuff. Again, the reason why it's choppy trading, number one, is that you have time frame conflict. So here, that purple line, that is your weekly open. So you opened up high and you pulled back right away. Now it's very hard for price then to get back above this high because you have time frame conflict. That means on different time frames, people are seeing different things. So if you're only looking at the weekly chart, you're seeing a red week all week. You're not seeing a green week. Whereas buyers, even though you're seeing a green days, you're still gonna have a red week unless you can crack above that purple line and you just run out of time or just didn't have enough firepower to do it. So with the new, the new day, new week, new month, new quarter coming up, all these lines are gonna basically change to wherever it opens up on Monday. So we want to wait and see on what side of price, or what side of the open price is trading on. That will be very important, right? So yeah, you can get to this condition where if sellers get aggressive right away, they can quickly take control of the quarter and turn it red, and then the buyers have to really try to fight back and reclaim that open. Otherwise, it's possible, as we've seen in the past, for there to be quarters where one side is in complete control most of the quarter, like we just came off of in Q1, where the buyers bought it right away from the get-go, right? They bought and they closed it near the highs of that quarter. So that's when a buy, when one side has control in the whole quarter, that's what can happen. We had the same thing kind of happen in Q4 of 2018, where literally from the top of Q4, the sellers had control all the way to the end of Q4. Okay, so that's something to watch out for. Who's in control of the quarter? So on the SPY, we got that inside week, and just something to watch out for on Monday. You definitely want to see here what happens. Can this thing continue to move up or not? Because here you had your inside buy reversal on SPY. So we had the selling early on in the week. Micron came out with some good earnings, surprised a bunch of people, and it popped up. Got the inside buy reversal here. As soon as that high gets taken out, they're going after that pivot high. They took out that high, and they try to go after that high, but simply rather ran out of time, or just didn't have enough firepower. So watch out for that. So on Qs now, the condition is on the 3-month chart, outside, inside, and up. Okay, so you're going outside, inside, up, close to those all-time highs, only less than 1.5% away from those all-time highs now. On the monthly, here's what we want to watch for. Oh, that's not the minute. I want the month. Is you have an outside and down situation, outside bar and down. Now, so if buyers take out that high there, it's very likely they're going to go after that pivot high. It's just going to be a very, very high likely shot, and for it to go perhaps even higher. Inside week for the Qs, and on the daily chart, it's very tight stuff, right? So look how tight that is. On the daily chart, 2 consecutive inside bars. On Friday, they tried to go inside bar and up, but it came back into the range again. It looks like that on the 2-day chart. Very, very tight trading, except for the first 2 days we had red days. On a 2-day chart there, the rest of it's like tight stuff. So you're sitting inside this greater mother bar on the 2-day chart. Question is, how do you get out of there? Right? Does it break to the downside and come back this way? There's still some unfilled gaps down here for the Qs. Okay, so that's what we were talking about. Is are we going to see buyers pick it up around the 8th EMEA, which is that blue line there, or do they come back in and actually try to fill some of these gaps, which they did on some of these other indices? So watch and see how this inside bar condition breaks on the 2-day chart, notably. Okay, so on the 4-hour chart, this is just how tight it is, but it is significant. This last sequence here, close the week. Okay, inside, outside, inside. So something's ready. Okay, so it's ready now to pop out of there, because inside, right, buyers and sellers had that stalemate. They try to take control of it one way or the other. Because the bar ended red, the sellers are slightly in control. Once again, you have the inside bar, and it's a stalemate again. So now this is pent up now. This is beginning to build up, and you expect this consolidation to eventually lead to range expansion. Okay, so watch and see how this inside bar breaks on Monday. So for Russell now, we had the Russell rebalancing this past week. It takes place officially on Friday. So Russell had a lot of volume on Friday. It actually started, looks like it may even started earlier because it started rallying on Thursday. So it was kind of odd because, Russell's sort of been lagging, and all of a sudden Russell puts in a day that's close to 2% up, while the other indices are only up maybe 0.25%, something very, very tight. So the Russell rebalancing definitely drove this contract up this week. So as we end the quarter, here's what the quarter looks like. Okay, inside bar and up, but it came back into the range again. So once again, if you're a buyer or long or a bull of Russell, you don't want to see this quarterly low get taken out. Otherwise, bad things can happen there once that low gets taken out. Likewise, if you're a buyer, you definitely want to see this pivot get taken out, this inside bar, and for it to head higher. On the monthly, okay, outside inside as I mentioned already. So this is what exactly we've been waiting for, right? So Russell, they managed to hold this stalemate for the month. And so now this sets up for a potentially very interesting July, because which way will this outside inside break? Okay, so there's your outside inside. I'm leaning towards a break to the upside just because we're so close to it. But we got to be open to the condition or the possibility that's possible that the sellers could take control and then break it down to the downside here, and then that would be a surprise, and that would take up we'd come after these pivots down here. So be on the lookout for that. Which way does this monthly inside bar break? That's going to lead to some really good range expansion. The downside, there's a lot of range to take out here, right? If it comes back through here again, on the upside, you potentially can get back those all-time highs. Okay, so in the Russell we have that. So on the 4-hour chart, just something to show here, is going into this week right there, that purple line. It was trading below the quarterly open. You see that? So there's a blue line, there's a purple line. When we opened the week, it popped up a little bit, but the sellers quickly took over. You can see how strong they took over. They went outside bar. Okay, so inside bar reversal, outside bar gets created, and then it goes down. So momentum to the downside. Outside, down, 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 down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subsequent bars that go down. As soon as this high gets taken out, the momentum's gone. Right? We've talked about it already, that momentum condition being created by outside bars. Once that low gets taken or the high gets taken out, that's what happens. Because momentum runs out, the sellers run out of steam, and you still have that condition where you're above the monthly open. So you have a bit of support from that area or from that condition, and they buy it right back. So there's your Thursday, Friday sequence, and they've just popped back up, closing it back above the quarterly open. Now, once again, we have a new quarter this coming week, so things kind of shift around a bit. But we definitely saw that momentum condition get halted right there. Okay, so they halted it, just like this sequence here. Look on the weekly. See the momentum condition here? Outside, down, down, down. Once you get that inside bar, the momentum sort of runs out. Now, once the high gets taken out, that's when the buyers step in. Okay, that's when the buyers take over and the control changes hands. So let's talk about Dow now. Okay, so Dow ends the quarter. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's make it a little bigger. There you go. Outside, inside, and up. Now, this could not quite take out that quarter's high. So we haven't hit all-time highs yet like we did with the SPY. So the Dow now is 1.3% roughly away from those all-time highs, but looking strong, all right? So it's above this prior bar's range and now going after that pivot high. That's what you want to be watching for. So on the Dow itself, the monthly is an outside bar. So just like we saw with the other chart on the SPY, what's the next bar for the Dow? Is it going to be outside bar and up? Does it go outside inside, or does it go outside and down, or breaks that one side and comes back in the range again? That's what we want to be waiting for and watching. Okay. So on the month we said we had the outside bar. On the week, again, very tight stuff, inside bar. Okay, so there's your inside bar on the week, and it is momentum to the upside, just like we have with the SPY. Right. So outside bar up, and now inside. So you do not want to see that low get taken out right there. Otherwise, you have the risk of coming back through the range again as the momentum runs out. So very tight stuff here, right? So inside bar reversal here on the daily chart. So inside bar and down, and they broke above that high on Friday, but really did not have much pop in it. You were trading below the weekly open, just like you were with the other indices. Some time frame misalignment there, and so the buyers really don't have much power here. So you want to wait and see what happens with this next bar, because on the Dow, the 2-day chart, it just looks really tight. So it's inside bar on that 2-day chart. Can this inside bar reversal continue to go? Can they take out that pivot high? You'd expect it to take out that high. If they can't, that means it shows you how weak the buyers are. So you need to watch some of those individual down names, specifically things like Boeing. If the bad news keeps coming out, then this thing can get dragged back lower again. Let's talk about emerging markets, because it did get a little bit weaker this past week, but not. It was actually very, very tight. So I'll take that back. It was basically a flat or slightly green week. But to end the quarter, what do we have? Well, a red quarter for EM. They did battle back though, so they kind of close it as maybe like a doji. On the month, it is an inside month, so very tight stuff compared to what we had in May. Okay, so that's what we were kind of saying. How does EM get out of May? Because May was pretty big. It was a pretty bad month for emerging markets. We were calling it submerging markets for a while, and now we just basically have an inside bar. So EM ends it as outside inside for the week. So this now sets up for something interesting. All right. So depending on if any news comes out of the G20 this weekend into next week, this condition will definitely break. Right. So if something notable comes out, outside inside, which way does it break? And that's going to be a good mover. If it breaks the low side, we're going after that pivot, which is nice, because then if it breaks the lows here and it comes down, then you're going to have full time frame alignment based upon all the time frames changing with the new quarter, and that pivot would be in play right away. So that would be a very nice range to go after if it breaks to the downside. Otherwise, it goes up, and you might see it come back up here and try to test some of these unfilled gaps. So keep your eyes for that. On the day, it's an outside bar. So on the daily chart, you have the outside bar. So just watch and see what that next bar is. Does it go outside bar and up, 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 up? Outside bar down, 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 or outside inside? So just something to watch out for. We're waiting for it to break, right? We're waiting for that this week here, the outside inside week to break. And so there on the 4-hour chart, you have an outside and down. Does it keep going down? All right, that's the momentum. Or do the buyers step up, pull it back to the upside, and then they're immediately going to go after that pivot, which would then possibly create the inside bar and up condition on the weekly. Because the high there is 43, and your high there is 43 right there. So if you go, the buyers step up here, buy this, they're going to immediately go after that pivot, and that will turn this thing to an inside up condition. Watch for that. TLT still gunning strong. Looked like it was going to break down last week. It really did. But this week the buyers defended exactly where they needed to. So for TLT, we've been watching this for a while, and now we've had our eyes on it. It's outside, inside, and up, and that condition is still true. It's still going. From this consolidation, it's popped up, and it's still going in terms of range expansion. It was a tight week though. Last week it really looked like the buyers have finally exhausted themselves, and the sellers have come in. So here it went inside and up. Or I'd drawn that level 131.13. If this low gets taken out, there's a possibility that it was going to come back through the range, but the buyer stepped up and actually closed it right inside of the previous week's range. So now we're going to move our line up right there, 131.88. The buyers do not want to see that low get taken out, otherwise it's going to come after these pivots. That'll be an inside buy reversal to the downside. Okay, but if you actually take a look at the sequence of price action on TLT, let's say on the 1-day chart first, and then we'll look at the 2-day. But here, I want to try to hide some of these lines just for a quick second. I'm going to hide that just so you can see what I'm referring to. So here, this is your Monday. Monday's inside bar, so very tight. Breaks to the upside. Okay, so there's your inside bar and up condition. It breaks below here, inside bar reversal, bam to the downside. But guess what? Look where they defended. They defended right there in that orange line. What's the orange line? The monthly open. So they hit the orange line, buyers stepped up, defended it right away, and popped back up again, took out these highs. Let's see, 133.09, 133.09. So exactly, they touched the exact highs again. So anyone who's short now is kind of uncomfortable, because if your stop is there, you're very close to getting taken out. Now you have your inside bar on Friday. Which way does it break on Monday? Okay, so again, just showing the power of that monthly open. Came down, tested it, to the T, and then popped back up again. But very, very tight stuff this week. There was definitely not a lot of range there to be had, because on the 2-day it looks like that, right? Outside, inside, outside, inside. So very, very tight stuff, sitting right on top of this broader megaphone formation. Okay, so it's a bigger megaphone that's playing out here, and it's sitting right on the top of that now. So now you want to wait and see, does this thing fall back into the range? Which is possible here. Look at the sequence. Outside, inside, inside. If this low gets taken out or that low gets taken out, they're coming back down here, which will take out the weekly lows of the prior week and create that inside bar reversal. So that's going to be very nice to watch if it plays out in that sort of domino sequence. Now let's talk about UKOIL. UKOIL. Okay, so green on the month, ends the month green. On the quarter, it had tried to go outside, inside, and up, but it failed and came back into the range again. So now that the quarter's done, if this low gets taken out, right, then there's that chance for it to come right back to the range again, back down here. So you want to see what that next bar is going to be. We did the month already. The week, red week, nothing much to be said about that. And for UKOIL, yeah, I think the 2-day chart. Well, here on Friday, you had an inside bar and down. Okay, so the buyers had control here till Friday, then went inside bar and down. Now on the 2-day, we had momentum. Okay, so that's what we talked about last week. Is we had momentum to the upside. It ran out here. So outside bar up, 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 right? So you have all these bars having higher lows until finally that low gets taken out, which is that day here, Friday. Now momentum to the upside has been negated. So you need to wait and see now. Do they push it back down, right? So that's what you need to watch out for. Or do the buyers kind of trying to find a stalemate, because it is choppy right now. So it is kind of choppy, choppy trading. Not a lot of range expansion yet, because we're back inside of the previous quarter's range. So how do you get out of these ranges, right? For this thing to really start moving. Okay, so let's now chat about gold, because gold has been quite the shiny performer. So there's your 3-month chart on gold. So this is gold spot. So there's a 9+% move in gold there. And for XAU, if we look at that 3-month chart, that's an outside month. Okay, so now momentum condition, if it continues. So you want to see, does it continue on and just keep climbing up, or does it drop back into the range again? So this one, the month, obviously green month, big month for XAU. Green week, although kind of looking topping a bit, but nothing. There's no signals being generated yet. You're still above all the time frames, and the people are still stepping in and buying it. Now let's take a look at the miners as an example. They're still buying the miners. The miners have had a great run. I shared the 12-month chart last week on GDX, but just bears showing again because I think it's a very strong macro chart. Outside, inside, went down. Inside by reversal to the upside. Now they're going after that pivot high. Okay, so you still have potentially, how much room left before it gets up there? A good 24% before it gets out that range. So a good chunk of range to be reclaimed. 24%, possibility there. So for GDX, here's the situation. Outside bar and down. That happened on, this is Tuesday, but the buyers step up. So that's your weekly open. They cannot close it below the weekly open. The buyers are not letting them. Okay, so they're not letting the sellers keep it below the weekly open. That's why it turned green. That's why it stayed green this for the week. They tried to here again on Thursday, went inside day. And as soon as it breaks above this inside bar sequence, momentum is lost to the downside. They come back up now, possibly going after that pivot there. That pivot first, then that pivot there. Okay, so watch GDX for that. So inside bar reversal there on, well, this is not inside bar reversal. This is a outside and down back up condition. So another way of looking at it is what happened with the junior gold miners. So that was GDX. Here's GDXJ, just to show you that the selling pressure has sort of ended, because if you look at it's a very similar chart to GDX. It's just the junior miners. Again, outside down, inside back up again, going back after the pivot high. But if you actually take a look at the 4-hour chart here, before I do that, just want to quickly highlight here. You can just see the momentum on the weekly. Outside bar up, up. If you get that low taken out on the weekly chart, then the momentum is run out. But for now, until that condition happens, you still have momentum and up. Okay, but look at this choppy stuff. Very, very choppy. But before we get there, this is what it looks like when momentum runs out. Here, last week it goes outside and up to end the week last Friday. Then on Monday, up again. Then Tuesday it goes up again, but goes right back through. So as soon as that low gets taken out, comes back out through the range and takes up people who are short here, long here, excuse me. Then now it's just doing a bit of a choppy dance, But that's why we zoom out a bit. We don't get trapped in that noise by looking at something like the daily. Because when you see this stuff here, it's going to look like that. Okay, so now that's cleaner. Take out that high. We know we're going to have to go after that high if we can get through some of these ranges. So let's look at the most shiny of all the assets. That's digital gold, Bitcoin. So BTCUSD having a stellar year to date. So this month, this past week, things really kicked into high gear. We thought that prices had gone up a lot up until then. It cracked 11,000 last weekend. Then we had a 2,000 plus run. So this past month, what can you say? It's a green month. 40% in 1 month. It's a pretty aggressive month. The quarter looking very strong. Had a 192% return on the quarter. So pretty phenomenal run up there. Now on the week, green week. Nothing more to be said about that. And if we take a look here, I'll just go up the most recent price action. So it was a very, we had a really big week here. It was up at some point, over 30% on the week. Had run up to close to 14,000. Then it pulled back. So it pulled back. And now it looked like sellers maybe had a bit of the upper hand, but you never broke below the weekly open. This is actually where I bought some. I actually picked up some Bitcoin here when it tested the weekly open. I'm going to show you what that trade looks like. No, I'm not simply just blindly buying the weekly open, but I'll show you what that looks like. But now you have an inside, meaning the sellers can't break it any further down, and we have a stalemate here. So now you want to see which way it breaks. That's as a possible setup. Breaks to the upside, that's a possible run back up again. So for Bitcoin, I think that what an interesting way to see this past week's sequence is this here. So on the 12-hour chart on Bitcoin, was it the 12-hour chart? Let's start with the 2-day first, because right now, even after all that selling, that dropped it from 13,880 all the way down to 10,300 right there. Now we're just talking outside inside. So the sellers are not in control anymore. It's a stalemate outside inside. You really want to see how this next one breaks. Okay, so very important the next day or so. This bar closes, you want to see how this next bar breaks. Outside and down, outside inside and down, or outside inside and up. That'll be a very, very potentially important signal. But if we examine the recent selling there in Bitcoin, now am I looking at the right? Yes, I think I'm looking at a different chart. I'm just gonna make sure I have the right one here, the BitPhoenix chart. Okay, so that's slightly different. So I had another chart up there before, which explains why the sequence is a bit different. So here it is on the 12-hour chart. Again, this still looks the same on the 2-day. You still have that outside inside sequence. If you recall, I took this long back on the 10th of June. Looks pretty good now, right? So I was up over 10 hours on that trade on a 2-day setup nonetheless. But the point was this, again, it's just reiterating the same message over and over again. If you haven't seen this pattern before, just get to know it. There, outside bar, up, right there, as soon as momentum ran out, because people are chasing here. This is FOMO. We have FOMO back in the crypto markets here. FOMO, it goes literally from 10,800 up to 11,780, then pops up to 13,764. So that is aggressive, all right? So outside up momentum, that's 7% move right there on that 12-hour bar. Once that low gets taken out, they rip back through. And when we got long in this sequence here, they're gonna get stopped out. So these guys get stopped out. They get stopped out because it pulls down here to 10,300, 10,388. They all get stopped out, even these folks here. Yep. 10,560, 1066. Yeah. And how about these guys? Nope. So these guys here did not get stopped out this low here. But everyone here who had stops below that, anything higher than that got stopped out. Okay. So that's the nature of price action and the broad informations that they create. So I did pick up some Bitcoin on the 2-hour chart as price was coming back down. I noticed to myself that the weekly open was right there, and that was a very good area to take a stand. So I take a stab at it. So I bought this sequence right there. Inside bar reversal, back to the upside. Took some off right here when it reclaimed this pivot's high. Outside bar. Never put your stops around the highs or lows of outside bars. If you don't know why, take a look at some of my videos as we've talked about it before. Okay, so that's a very nice trade. You know, plus 2R on that. Took some profits already and letting the rest trail. Okay, so let's take a look at the total chart, which is the total market cap of all the cryptos. And we don't have to talk too much about it because it looks very, very similar. Green month, green weeks, outside, inside bar days, and inside pattern on the 2-day. So very, very similar chart to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is definitely leading the pack right now. It is the dominant asset in terms of market cap, and it's getting larger. So continue to track how Bitcoin does and see if eventually if traders decide to move things into other altcoins. But right now most traders are still focusing on Bitcoin. Okay, now let's as we wrap things up, I'm going to just go over some names that we go over every now and then. But let's go through the FANG names. So this past week, Facebook had the big news about their digital currency Libra coming out, and that kind of hurt them, and it kind of helped them in the latter half of the week. And they first announced that price did come down, but in the latter half of the week they bought it back again on Friday. Had a very, very strong close. Even then, it was still inside week. So inside week to close the week. Here's what you want to watch for. Facebook setting up for a possible inside buy reversal now on the monthly chart. If this bar is high, this in July can get taken out. They're going to go after that pivot and that pivot, inside buy reversal. As anyone down here, they got stopped out, especially if it breaks above this pivot high. Okay, so the monthly chart looking very strong. Weekly chart very, very strong too. You want to see how the inside week breaks. If it breaks to the downside, obviously that negates what we just talked about there. It can come back down and try to fill that gap. But if it goes inside week and up, with that looks like a kind of a momentum hammer candle as well. Looking strong for Facebook. Inside bar and up on Friday. That's what we had. Okay, let's talk about Apple now. Apple actually withstanding a lot of negative news as well. A lot of negative news about the lack of innovations around in that company, especially with the phones. But here, let's zoom out just for one quick second. 3-month chart went outside, down. Okay, now look at this. This is what's very, very funny. Outside and down, and it's going. Try this quarter to go outside down, back up. If it breaks above this range, this bar's high, 197.92. If you can crack that, it's going to go after that pivot there, those all-time highs. 197.92 is this bar's high. Where did it actually close on the last trading day of the quarter? Do you know where it closed? 197.92. It closed exactly on the high of this prior quarter's high. Closed exactly on there, which is quite interesting, quite a coincidence. So they pinned it right there, right at the quarter's high. So this coming, this coming week, this coming month, this coming quarter, we can clear that level, 197.92. We get back into the condition where it's possible to get back up and reclaim that range. We're gonna have to see more good news coming in of Apple, but the neat thing is that the bad news hasn't been hurting it that much, hasn't been hurting the stock that much. That is, because here, look what we have. Back in April. We've talked about the same thing over and over again now, but it bears watching and looking at. Outside bar down, 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 down. As soon as the high gets taken out, buyers are in good control. They did with an outside bar. Outside bar up, 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 up. Still going up until a low gets taken out. The buyers are still in control. So yes, things will change if they can take this low out here, 195.29. That puts this back in risk again, or back in play, this range to the downside. But for now, the bias is up because it's momentum to the upside until that low gets taken out, just like we have with the SPY and with the Dow and with the VIX in the opposite direction. Okay, so there's your Apple. On the daily, you had your inside bar reversal. Inside bar here to the downside. You reversed it on Wednesday. Took all that pivot high and that pivot high, and that's what it did. They took them out. Now let's talk about Netflix. Netflix, if we take a look at the 3-month chart, inside bar reversal. Right there. Inside bar, down, inside bar. If they can keep it above this high here, there's your inside bar reversal. Right now it's below it, but the buyers are still in control as the lows haven't been taken out yet. So you want to see if it can take out that high, stay above it, and they're going to go after those all-time highs. Okay, monthly chart. Outside, outside, okay, and down. But it's a green down bar. That means they're close to taking out that pivot high. If that pivot high gets taken out, they're going after that pivot high, right? And then we can possibly go back to those all-time highs. Momentum up. It's a very slow momentum move though, but it's up. Outside bar, up, up, up. Until we see the low get taken out, the buyers are in control. Here on the 2-day chart, the 1-day chart is choppy, but it is what it is. It's inside this range here. It went up on Monday and then came back down and then basically chopped around. But it looks like that. That's how tight it is. Outside bar, inside, and it's trying to go inside bar up. Okay, so there's your inside bar up condition. Trying to do it. Okay, now let's look at Google. Now Google, of all the FANG names, I think actually looks the worst. I think it just looks like chop right now, and it's not really setting up for anything that as we speak. Because right now with Google, the issue is this. Look at the 3-month chart on Google. It's just chop, right? You see that? When I say chop, I mean there's a significant amount of bars that are overlapping. That's trending, right? This sequence here, that's trending. That's chop on a 3-month chart. Chop, 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 chop. So people are getting chopped up here as things are not breaking out. And they're not breaking down either. So this chomp people up. So Google, green month, you had a red week though, right? So there's your conflict. So it's kind of chopping around. You have a green month, but a red week. We saw the quarter already. It is a red quarter. So a lot of a misalignment there. So Google, I wouldn't be trading this thing actively right now because again, we have earnings coming out in July, so maybe that changes the picture. But for now, it's easier things to be trading than Google. Let's take a quick look at, we talked about Twitter last week. I'll just quickly update that one. So Twitter, it took out it's still going after this outside week's lows. Okay, so it goes outside, up, and down, down, down. So going after that week's lows, just slowly giving it up, right? So it's just slowly grinding down, inside month and down. Okay, so on the 3-month chart, it's a bit of a divergence here though, right? So here, inside bar reversal. So if it cracks above that level there, inside bar reversal to the downside. If it cracks below this low here, it's an inside bar reversal to the downside. If it cracks above that high there, it's inside bar reversal to the upside. So you definitely have a bit of conflict going on there, but the immediate target is going to be this weekly's low. That's what's in play right now, but just pay attention to the higher magnitude stuff, higher time scale stuff, as that's going to take more time to play out. In the meantime, it's going to be very easy for this thing to come in, fill it, and then maybe just do some gyrations before it goes back up. It takes out that pivot high, or it takes out that low and then goes even further lower. So watch out for how it plays around those quarterly candles. So just let's do 2 more things. First off, I want to show a chart that I haven't shown in a while, which is our S1FI chart. And if you haven't been watching the videos in a while, you may have not seen me talk about this chart. But basically, we have our SPY overlaid with this blue line, and the blue line represents the number of S&P stocks, 100 stocks that are currently trading above their weekly, their 50-day moving average. So right now you can see we hit these all-time highs back here, right? So SPY reclaimed it, but we had a lot fewer stocks above their 50-period moving average than we did when we cracked it over here. Right, on this run up here. Here it did start to diverge already, but here, we're only at we're at 70 something percent now of stocks on the S&P 100 currently above their 50-day. So you want to be watching to see, do we have fewer leaders participating in this drive up? That means, from a individual stock level, are we having fewer of those stocks above their 50-day? And if that's still so, where is the leadership coming from? Right now, though, the trend is up. So that's if you're a bull, that's what you want to see. You want to see that this number starts continues to climb higher. This is when you start getting nervous. Is when this price goes higher and this thing peaks out and starts going down. But as we talked about already, on the really, really big macro term stuff, the SPY is looking very strong. So on the SPY, just to zoom out, 3-month chart, look, we're going right in the highs. So kind of keep going. That's the question. So one final thing before we wrap things up is let's do a quick review of the sectors on the quarterly level, so you get a kind of a roadmap on where things will go for the coming quarter. So basic materials, inside bar up, buyers can control until that low gets taken out. Energy, outside, inside, back down into the range. You want to see which side of this gets taken out. Needs to get back above this blue line here, the previous quarter's high, for the bullish condition to get back into effect again. Otherwise, if you break below that low, that's an inside buy reversal. Financials grinding higher. So a lot of buybacks happened this past week when a number of banks beat those stress tests, and now things are climbing back higher for financials, and they're gunning after these pivots. Industrials inside quarter and up, so buyers in control still. So the nice thing about these quarterly charts is that you are able to get away from all the noise and the daily gyrations of the stock market and see from a far wider term perspective of the potential moves that could happen. Okay, tech XLK, so going right in the highs. Okay, so we're going right in the highs, looking strong. Again, you don't want to see that low get taken out. That would be inside buy reversal. Staples, okay, it did hit highs, pulled back in a bit now. Is he getting tired? That's what you need to watch out for. Inside bar and up condition, do not want to see that low get taken out. Utilities, right in the highs, right into all-time highs earlier this month. Momentum up, right? So momentum up. Do not want to see that low get taken out. Healthcare, still potential here, but it popped back in the range. We were hoping that it was going to stay as an inside quarter so that Q3 could really start off with a bang, but it did pull back into the range now. So can healthcare get interesting again? And the way it gets interesting is by getting back above this quarterly's high. Otherwise, do not want to see inside buy reversal. That low gets taken out, boom, back to the downside. Last one, discretionary, looking strong here. Okay, back in those all-time highs. It hit all-time highs this past month. Inside bar and up. Once again, do not want to see that low get taken out. All right, so that's a wrap for this week's weekly market outlook. As usual, if you have any names you'd like me to review or add to the review list, just drop me a line. If you know any traders who could benefit from this work and this analysis process, please do share the videos with them. And I wish all of you a happy Canada Day if you're in Canada, happy Independence Day if you're on the stateside, and have a good week trading. Happy trading.